Well, our country has forever been changed. Someone attempted to take the life of former President Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States. To some people, he was the 46th President of the United States. To a lot of us, we hope he's the 47th President of the United States. But we're going to talk about some of the troubling facts that we already have surrounding this assassination attempt, and it leads to a lot of questions, a lot of concern. And these are the questions that we all need to be asking, that we need to be harping on. I'm going to be writing my elected representative to say, when you get to the bottom of this, these are the questions that you need to answer. Let's talk about this. I'm Jared. This is Continue Freedom. Okay, and welcome back to Continue Freedom. So I was actually on a family vacation when all of this went down, and this is something I've been saying for months, but I'm not new in this. Countless people, conservative commentators have been saying for months that there's only one other option that they have, and that is to take out President Donald Trump. They have tried to ruin him financially. They've tried to ruin his reputation. They've tried to take his properties, all the wealth that he has amassed, and that didn't help. He continued to rise in the polls, and even he said during the debates that unfortunately my poll numbers went up, and so I'm going to keep doing this because he feels as though it's his responsibility. So anyway, I've been saying it for months, and it finally actually happened. And I'm sure when you heard about it, you were probably in disbelief, and then you were probably calmed down a bit. And when you had your druthers about you, you probably thought, you know what? I knew that this was going to happen. I knew this was eventually going to happen. And then the question came about, is this an inside job? Was this an inside job? Well, I'm going to show you one video here real quick. And this one video is troubling, to say the least. But this one video is the time elapsed from when this person, this particular individual, started recording when they saw the shooter. They were telling the authorities, but they saw the shooter, and this is how long it took for the Secret Service to respond. And I'm playing this at double speed because, it could sit here and it takes a certain amount of time. Let's speed this up. So over here on the left, you see these people. They're pointing out this shooter. They're seeing him crawling across this rooftop. You're watching a guy with a rifle across the rooftop. 20 seconds has elapsed. No one has pulled Trump off the stage. And we've seen the guy that was wearing the Trump hat, and he was interviewed after the fact, and he said, we told the authorities. We saw him bear crawling across the roof. You see this guy with a rifle setting up in his position 38 seconds in. This goes on, and I will tell you how long, all the way up to 2 minutes. So for 2 minutes, now you can watch Donald Trump here in a moment. There it is. He gets nicked and he goes down. For 2 minutes, no calls were made over the radio that we're aware of. No one was saying get the president off the stage because there's a man with a rifle on a rooftop. To say the very least, this was troubling. And so now we've identified a 20-year-old shooter who has no political posts on his social media. He's left behind no note or no reasoning for why he did what he did. No indicators that he was some radicalized political figure or that he was radicalized politically in any way. However, he did think to register as a Republican before carrying out this assassination attempt. He was seen by local authorities to be acting suspicious. This is all reported, by the way, and I've got a BBC article here that I could link in the description. I'll try to remember to put that in there when I post this video. But he was seen by local authorities acting suspicious at the magnetic scanners that they have. And it was called over the radio, told to the Secret Service to keep an eye on this guy. That was reported by CNN. Still, he was able to set up on a rooftop in full view of the public, Secret Service, and in view of the local police. He got approached by a local police officer who happened to run away like a gutless coward. And there's the article explaining all of this. This cop came up to him, approached him, and he ran away. Still had time to come back and take aimed shots at the head of the President of the United States. How does that happen? This guy was on the only high ground around this entire rally. So we've seen the map, the overhead view of the map. He was 150 yards away. Some reports are 151 yards, but this is also the most obvious location for a threat. Even if you only have a basic understanding about how to set up a secure perimeter, you would know that the high ground on top of a building is something that should be secured. He was spotted by multiple civilians who were yelling at all the security around them for at least 2 minutes. Other reports are 3 to 4 minutes, that they were telling the police officers, that they were telling Secret Service, whoever they could find, that this guy was a threat and he was on the roof. He was in the sights of Secret Service snipers. By the way, these people zero their rifles at 100 to 200 yards. This guy was at 150 yards. Hardly any bullet dropped from that point. So it depends on how far they had zeroed their rifles. But this is an absolute chip shot for them. It's the easiest shot they could possibly take. And Secret Service only responded after this mysterious kid with no political leanings to speak of took multiple shots at Donald Trump. Now, we know from history what happens to people who stand up to the Democrat Party, who stand up to the deep state. This is what happens to people who stand up against the deep state. Lincoln, Kennedy, MLK, Reagan, Trump. And so it finally happened. They tried to, after all these years, since 1984, we haven't had an incident like this. And it finally happened. They tried to kill the 45th president of the United States, and who's the guy who's probably going to be the 47th president of the United States. So the questions we have to ask, aside from all of these security failings, who was communicating with this kid online before he decided to take such bold action? Was the FBI grooming this kid? What about the CIA? You know, I've seen a lot of people talking about MK Ultra, and that's been circulating around the internet. But of course, we know that program was shut down in 1973, right? Of course, because we all have complete confidence, faith and confidence in our federal government to stop a nefarious program when they say they're going to stop a nefarious program. So we can certainly rule that out, right? Who chose this particular spot as the site for the rally? Yes, you want a nice wide open spot, but a simple building complex is insanely easy to secure. So why did they choose this spot? And who chose this spot? When you think about the failures that took place, the ones that we have already confirmed on video, people telling authorities this is where the guy is, a police officer approaching the guy. The post-millennial article said that the guy pointed the rifle at the police officer and the police officer ran away. He retreated. Why were no calls made to the Secret Service to get the president off the stage at that point? This is such a massive failure, such an epic failure, that I have a hard time believing it was an actual failure. And so, like everybody else, I went to the internet, and to my shock and disbelief, part of me was shocked and in disbelief, but another part of me thought, okay, this is just Trump derangement syndrome. We know how far they will go, that they will hate Trump no matter what, and they will be disappointed even if he is not taken out by an assassin. But people like Destiny, whose real name is Steven, by the way, Jenna Howell, some college professors, a Pennsylvania council member, basically everybody on CNN, and even elected members of Congress saying that this sort of action is not only justified, but they are pissed that he missed. The TikTok brigade went into absolute full swing, absolute lunacy mode. And what trended on Twitter after this happened? How do you miss trends among leftists on X after Trump assassination attempt? This is the level of Trump derangement syndrome has gotten absolutely out of control. But Democrat voters and leftists expressed their dismay that Donald Trump's would-be assassin was not successful after the former president narrowly escaped a bullet on Saturday. The hashtags "How do you miss" and quote "one job" circulated on X shortly after the incident, which encompassed thousands of accounts criticizing the shooter's aim. Who has been identified as 20-year-old. I'm not going to read his name because he does not deserve to be mentioned. He does deserve, however, to be dead, which is a good thing because that's what he is. And so these, I'm going to show you some of these posts that people were making. So here's a person who said, "A for effort." Jess Brannis is a district director for Pennsylvania's 163rd district. This was their post. Here's a doctor from the University of British Columbia. "Damn, so close, too bad. So close, and how now he'll be milking a victim. He'll milk being a victim for more votes. I really wish that person had better aim." Then she says, "What a glorious day this could have been." And then let's not forget the internet's favorite troll, this kid. He's a child. He's an adult, technically speaking, but he's an absolute child. His name's Destiny, real name Steven. who says, "Oh, I'm sorry, what happened to 1776? Was that a peaceful protest?" He says, "At least you're too fat to miss, you subhuman, hypocritical piece of S." Again, if your kids are reading this, you might want to earmuff. And these are keyboard warriors. These are people who talk tough on the internet, think they're really cool. You know, they're making a ton of money because the algorithm pushes them to the front of the feed, whether it's X, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it happens to be. And they talk tough. They act like they're these hardcore dudes. And this is who they are. This is Steven, by the way. If you want to know who Steven is, Steven rarely sees the sun. Steven lives in an apartment in a marriage where he admittedly has an open marriage with his wife, where he shares her with other men because he likes to watch this. He sits in his apartment. He lives a sad, pathetic life, and he has nothing real to contribute to society. These are the people that are getting millions and millions and millions of plays on the internet. They are deranged people who simply hate Donald Trump because he doesn't play nice with the deep state. They love the deep state. A lot of them are paid by the deep state. And so this is what we're up against. Keyboard quarterbacks who have massive amounts of reach. These are beta males. These are weak people. They live sad, pathetic lives. And all they are trying to do is goad Trump supporters into some type of action. So they're saying all these vitriolic and hateful things for one reason, to stir up Trump supporters. Well, what do Trump supporters do? Nothing. Like good citizens, they say they're not burning down businesses. They are not destroying cities. What do? They get amped up about the democratic process. They get amped up about the opportunity to save their republic at the ballot box. And they're going to do this on the back of a 77-year-old man who took a bullet, lost a chunk of his ear, and then went golfing the next day. And when all this happened, when the mainstream media started reporting this, they are so opposed to the truth that they couldn't even say what actually happened, would not tell the American people what actually happened, having seen the gunshots and heard the gunshots, seen the blood with their very own eyes. They couldn't muster the mental fortitude to report what actually happened to the American people. So CNN says Secret Service rushes Trump off the stage after he falls at a rally. Trump injured by an incident at the rally. He was rushed off stage with blood on his ear and face after loud bangs during a Saturday evening rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Video captures what happened at Trump rally that left him injured. And you want to talk about representatives? Here's Representative Stephen Woodrow. For the last thing America needed was sympathy for the devil, but here we are. You know, when we think about how we move forward as a country, these are the people who cannot be saved. I hate to say they cannot be saved. The Trump derangement syndrome is very real, but these people cannot be saved. And this is the common theme that's among the left. You know, they hate him so much that they will continue this message through Election Day. And they're going to be saying, learn how to shoot. I wish that this guy hadn't missed. Can we find any better assassins than this? This is what we're going to see. And the outcry on the internet was loud and clear. Here's a TikToker. Bless his heart. Oop, that's the wrong video. Hang on. So here's a guy. This is a TikToker. And these were his comments.
Message to whoever shot at Trump. Use a lame ass bitch, because how the did you shoot and miss? No, if you have a mission, make sure you hit that target right. You ain't practice before you get your ass over there? Huh? You was nervous? Your hand was shaking? The message to whoever.
This will be relentless. It's going to be relentless between now and November. But we are the ones who are going to be the voice of reason in all this. And, you know, we have to understand that sifting through the BS that they are feeding us is part of our responsibility now as Americans, as voters, as the people who actually want to get back to our Constitution, back to principled positions on politics. And, you know, a lot of folks that I talk with, you know, just average run-of-the-day folks, they don't like getting into the political fray because it could risk their job. It could risk their livelihood. It could risk their family. There could be divisions inside of their family if they dare talk about politics at the dinner table. But in a time where politics is driving so much of our lives, we have the uncomfortable responsibility of being involved, if anywhere, in our day-to-day conversations with people and being armed with facts that we can deliver to them. Because a lot of people are surprised. When we were on vacation, we heard about this. There were people surprised saying, I just looked at my news outlets, the ones that I follow, and none of them are saying that this is an assassination attempt. This is predictive programming that we, the people, are going through, and they are gaming the information system. They will lie to you while telling you the truth. You know, when they said that there were bangs and that Trump falls down, that he was injured in his ear, yes, that there was a shooting, that there were people injured, but they don't tell you off the bat that someone was just trying to kill the former president of the United States. The 45th and possibly the 47th, hopefully the 47th president of the United States had a chunk of his ear taken off by a bullet that missed him by centimeters. No one could possibly mistake what had happened, because these people don't want to, the point is, these people don't want to release this information to you because you cannot handle it in their mind. And it's not convenient for them to immediately release the fact that Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. They have to properly craft and control the narrative before they dare let you hear what's actually going on. It's not worth mentioning, because you need to receive the information the way they want you to receive it, when they want you to receive it, in a manner that benefits their political narrative. And so remember that this has been in the works for a long time. Never forget Biden's speech, where he reminded everybody who the real problem was. It's Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump supporters. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of our republic. As I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. There's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. This has been in the works for an extended period of time. Predictive programming, radicalizing people. And they did it in hopes of what happened this past weekend. And after this happens, this hurts them, obviously. They had hoped, obviously, their great hope was that the guy would have been successful. Then they've eliminated part of their problem, which is Donald Trump. They may well have, at that time, ignited a civil war in this country. But I believe God had his hand on Donald Trump that night, or that day. By fractions of an inch, when you talk about if that had struck the side of his skull, only slightly, the transfer of energy from a bullet is extreme, and he would not be here today. But by mere centimeters, our republic was saved, and the Civil War was probably avoided. But what this does to the Democrats now is it shows Trump for what he actually is. He's an actual victim of a violent attack. He's an actual victim of political prosecution. He's an actual victim of a politicized and weaponized justice system and information system. And he is the man who is actually upending the political machine that has been keeping the American people crushed by debt, crushed by a controlled economy, captive to fascism, through extreme government control over our private enterprises. And he can upend this government that has been regulating and taxing every aspect of our lives for as long as I've been here. They've tried to destroy his reputation, his fortune. They tried to put him in jail. The next logical step was this. And if this happened, by the way, in a foreign country, the UN, the State Department, all these people would be condemning them, and they would be calling for the restoration of democracy to said country. If this were in Paraguay or Mozambique, they'd be shouting from the rooftops and trying to figure out how to send our tax dollars to help these people. They would say something like, "Banana republics do not reflect the will of the people. We condemn this in the strongest possible way and will intervene to restore this government to the people." Yet in America, we have countless citizens cheering it on. I say this, honestly, we have crossed the Rubicon here in America. And there are a lot of people that are hoping for violence because they've been told to hope for violence. They're hoping for violence because they've been told that Trump is a fascist who will stomp out our Constitution and remove our freedoms, despite having no indication that that is the case, and every indication that the opposite is actually the case. They are totally unaware of what is going on in their own country and far more worried about what is going on in places like Ukraine and Gaza. So we have to ask ourselves, how did we slide this far? How did we slide this far from our principles? How did our republic backslide this far? Well, the answer is fairly simple, aside from the deep state, the media. The modern day media is the entire problem. Social media, well, I won't say the entire problem, one of the problems, one of the biggest problems. Social media is the problem. They're pushing content that feeds this type of division, that feeds this type of extremism. The clickbait culture is part of the problem. They've convinced our own citizens of things that are not so and convinced them to support things that are not in their best interests, all in the name of politics. See, our politics have now superseded our principles, and that very truth is eroding our society from the inside out. And now let's be realistic. Donald Trump is not going to undo all of this delusional behavior that has been ingrained in the psyche of millions of Americans over the last decade. I'm sad to say that, but most of these people are, in fact, lost. But there are people who don't like Trump, but also believe political violence is not warranted. There are people who they don't pay attention to politics every day. They're just trying to make a decision about the president at a time where the political stakes have never been higher. And those people, those are the ones that we need to be reaching. Those are the ones that we can have lunchtime conversations with. Those are the ones that we can have dinner conversations with. Those are the people that need to understand that the restoration of our principles, of our Constitution, of our freedoms and liberties, of our republic, are the actual items on the ballot in November. Not in full, but in part. We have a decades-long fight to restore what has been stolen from us, and we need these fence sitters and these uninvolved people to be aware of what is really going on in America. Because those are the people that understand that those are the people that must understand that the deep state is not a conspiracy theory, but an actual entity running running our government agencies. An entity that will do anything to maintain power and control over the largest economy in the world, the largest military in the world, the most influential government in the world. Those people need to understand that the deep state has the power to ignore the president when he orders troops out of Syria. They need to understand that the deep state has FBI agents willing to doctor photos by putting classified covers on non-classified documents to try and convict the former president for crimes he did not commit. They need to understand that the deep state has massive media outlets willing to lie to the American people and parrot anything they tell them, all in the name of power and control over the citizenry. The citizens that we need to reach, they have jobs, they don't want to lose them. They have friends that they don't want to lose. They have families that they don't want to divide, and they have principles that they don't want to see eroded. They've been placed between a rock and a hard place, and I truly feel for those people like myself. I engage in politics, and a lot of people in my circles, we engage in politics because we really, truly care about what happens in this country. And I believe that these fence sitters believe that as well, that they really want what is best for this country. But they are so woefully misinformed, it is our responsibility to inform them. But we also have to admit that we have lost control of our republic, and the only way to get it back is with principled people who want to shrink and remove power from the very agencies that no longer have their best interests in mind. We are all going to lose something now, or we are going to lose it later. We have to make the decision, or it will be made for us. We have to get loud. We have to get grounded. We have to use our First Amendment rights while we still have them, and we have to be sure to exercise our Second Amendment rights in the event that all of this comes toppling to the ground. Donald Trump can get the ball rolling, which is why they want him gone. That's why they want him to be deleted. He's a threat to our threat. He's a threat to the deep state. And I truly, truly love him for that, and I'm eternally grateful to God for having him turn his head, for causing the breeze that shifted the bullet, whatever it happened to be. The fact that he was able to survive that with such a close call in a situation where he, in every instance, with such a simple shot, with such a simple set of circumstances, should be dead, but he is not. And he's going to battle for our country. And I hope a lot of other people will wake up to that and realize that. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. Please leave the comments. We're on X-Locals, Rumble, and YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.